She thought renting a safe home was simple. A tiny leak whispered danger. A gavel slams. But that small complaint would ignite a storm she never expected. What if your home, your sanctuary, betrayed you first? She woke to a notice. Eviction. Effective immediately. Mold was the crime. Her family's safety the excuse. Heart pounding. Kids crying. Bags barely packed. But one detail changed everything. Someone, somewhere, was watching. Her mornings always began the same. Sunlight through thin curtains, coffee brewing, kids still tangled in blankets. She had a small, steady job, juggling hours, hoping each paycheck would stretch far enough. Her apartment was modest, but she had decorated it with love, bright curtains, family photos, little trinkets that made it home. Neighbors waved in the hall, familiar faces she trusted. Community dinners, borrowed sugar, shared laughter. Her world was small, yet rich with connection. She laughed easily, loved fiercely, and believed in fairness. Those were her weapons, though she didn't yet know it. She dreamed quietly, a home without leaks, a space where her children could grow safely, a life where dignity wasn't negotiable. Every evening, she'd read to her kids, whispering stories of heroes, planting hope in their young hearts. Yet small cracks whispered warnings, mold creeping behind the bathroom tiles, strange smells masked with bleach, a landlord too quick to dismiss complaints. Others had whispered, "They don't care. Don't fight it." But she was not others. She noticed details, remembered names, kept receipts. She never stayed silent. One rainy afternoon, she knelt by the kitchen floor, wiping away water stains, and thought, "I deserve better. My children deserve better." She had no idea then, but this small act of awareness, this stubborn insistence on truth, would pull her into a battle fire larger than a leaking ceiling. Destiny was knocking, and it demanded courage she hadn't yet realized she possessed. It began like any other morning, the kettle whistling, children's laughter echoing, her heart steady with routine. Then came the knock. Sharp, abrupt. The landlord stood in the doorway, face hard, eyes cold. "Eviction. Effective immediately," he said. Paper slipped into her hand like a verdict. Her hands shook. "But, the mold," she started. He cut her off. "Your complaint triggered this. Pack now." Fear tightened her chest. Her children clung to her skirts. Neighbors peeked but said nothing. Even the familiar faces, her small community, seemed powerless. She called the housing authority. The voice on the line was polite but distant. "All legal," they said. "No room for appeal." Their words rang hollow, a courtroom without justice. Her belongings were tossed into bags, some ripped, some damp, some stolen by careless hands. Each item, a memory erased. Each photo, a story threatened to vanish. But she noticed a detail others missed. The landlord avoided a small camera in the hallway. Someone, somewhere, had eyes on this. She tried local news. "Mold eviction," she pleaded. "Unfair, dangerous, illegal." They asked for evidence. Her photos weren't enough. Her story seemed too ordinary to matter. A stranger's gaze lingered across the street. Recognition, sympathy, or something else entirely. By nightfall, the apartment was empty, silent, sterile. The injustice prevailed. Yet beneath the dismay, a spark ignited, a flicker of defiance. She wouldn't vanish quietly. Someone had noticed, and someone would listen. Weeks passed, but the nightmare deepened. She tried to reclaim her life, her voice, her home, but every door seemed locked. The landlord's papers were airtight, filed with meticulous care. The housing inspector's report blamed her negligence. Even the police seemed distracted, almost rehearsed, as if reading lines from someone else's script. "All legal," they repeated, eyes averted. Threats came cloaked in politeness. "Drop it, or things get worse." Her neighbors whispered. Some offered sympathy, but others hinted. Maybe she overreacted. Maybe it's her fault. The community she had once leaned on now felt divided, fractured by doubt. The laughter in hallways had vanished, replaced with caution, suspicion, and fear. She scanned the media. Headlines screamed, "Tenant evicted over mold." Safety concerns ignored. Each article painted her as careless, irresponsible. Her story, a fight for safety, was twisted into a cautionary tale of blame. Anger surged, then a bitter despair. But she noticed one detail: inconsistencies in the inspector's timeline. A date that didn't match a maintenance call. A signature that didn't belong. Small, almost invisible, but enough to spark hope. One detail would later change everything. Every late night, she pored over records, receipts, photos, and texts. Her resolve hardened. Fear remained, but now it mingled with determination. If institutions were corrupted, if authorities were complacent, she would find allies elsewhere. Hidden cameras, social media posts, anonymous tips. Each fragment whispered a truth the system tried to bury. The landlord, smug in his office, didn't realize that cracks were forming in his carefully constructed story. Truth has a way of surfacing, often in the smallest, most overlooked corners. Her children slept beside her as she worked, unaware of the storm, yet inspiring her courage. This fight was bigger than eviction, bigger than mold, bigger than her alone. A message appeared in her inbox late one night, anonymous, urgent, and promising evidence that would upend everything. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and authority, but justice felt absent. Judges glanced at documents. Lawyers whispered behind hands. The air pressed down on her chest. Her attorney stumbled over withheld evidence. Pages vanished. Witnesses contradicted themselves. The system was weaponized against her. The landlord sat smug, arms crossed, a smirk hiding behind carefully rehearsed civility. Police officers nodded to prosecutors, their loyalty unquestioned. Every gavel hit the bench like a hammer on hope. Her children watched from the gallery, confusion in their eyes. The community sat in hushed rows, divided between doubt and sympathy. She felt every stare, every whisper like a weight on her shoulders. One by one, her arguments were dismissed. One by one, the truth seemed swallowed whole. Yet beneath despair, something refused to break. Late nights of evidence gathering, hidden photos, timestamps, those small sparks of resistance flickered inside her. She met her children's gaze. They needed hope, and she would not falter. Quiet determination hardened her. The prosecution presented its climax, a timeline proving her negligence. Gasps echoed through the room. It seemed final. The villains had won. Just as the judge prepared to rule, a witness cleared their throat. Hesitation, then a confession. Shocking testimony. A piece of the story no one expected. All at once, the narrative cracked. Corruption had a blind spot, and someone had noticed. Foreshadow. The smallest truth, when revealed, could topple mountains of lies. The fight was far from over. Justice was still alive. The judge's gavel struck. Silence fell like a tombstone. Eviction upheld. Fine imposed. Public shaming whispered through the courtroom. Her hands shook. Her chest burned. Every ounce of hope threatened to crumble. Children clutched her skirts, faces pale, eyes wide with confusion. Neighbors looked on, some pitying, some judging. Yet beneath the despair, resolve blazed. She had survived betrayal before. She would survive this. Outside, whispers spread, growing louder. Social media ignited. Eviction over mold. That's outrageous. People typed. Screens lit with outrage and empathy. The landlord smiled, certain the fight was over. He didn't notice the growing wave behind her. The public, the unseen witnesses, were beginning to turn. Her phone buzzed. Another tip, another witness, another crack in the fortress of lies. Injustice had won the battle, but not the war. And she would return, armed with truth, persistence, and the courage of every person who had ever been silenced. The apartment was empty. Echoes of laughter replaced by cold walls and silence. Her children stared at boxes stacked like berries between past and present. Sleep came fitfully, dreams haunted by flashing images of eviction, accusation, and betrayal. Every morning began with grief, every night ended with uncertainty. Yet beneath exhaustion, a quiet resistance began to stir. She wrote letters, documented everything, and reached out to those who still believed in justice. Neighbors, once hesitant, started whispering encouragement. A local shopkeeper offered food. another a safe space to meet. Brave voices emerged, journalists, advocates, ordinary citizens who refused to look away. An anonymous tip revealed a hidden ledger, a thread leading to corruption higher than the landlord. Her children adapted, resilient in their own way, learning from her courage. Community meetings sparked plans, marches, petitions. The world outside began to notice, and outrage grew louder. But danger lingered. Threats continued, subtle and sharp, reminding her that the fight could cost everything. She paused one rainy afternoon, staring at a photograph of her family's first apartment. Tears fell, but she straightened, clenched her fists, and whispered, "We are not finished." The hero was down, her home stolen, her peace shattered. Yet the story wasn't over. Every injustice left a mark, and every mark could be turned into a battle cry. It wasn't just one apartment, one landlord, one family. The system itself was fractured, bureaucrats, inspectors, and officials twisting rules for power. Countless ordinary people had been crushed quietly, their stories buried under papers, fines, and false reports. But when courage meets persistence, even the smallest truth sparks a blaze. Communities united, witnesses spoke, and hidden evidence surfaced. The lies that once seemed untouchable began to tremble. Every document, every photo, every voice exposed cracks no one could ignore. The hero's fight became a mirror for everyone silenced, overlooked, or dismissed. The battle was far from over. Danger remained. But the truth, fragile, fleeting, powerful, was worth every risk. This story isn't just one hero. It's all of us. Every person who refuses to look away, who refuses to accept injustice. What if this happened to you? Your home stolen overnight, your family shamed, your voice silenced. Imagine the fear, the helplessness, the burning urge to fight back. If her story moves you, don't stay silent. Share it. Comment. Spread awareness. Demand accountability. Every voice matters. Every witness counts. Because injustice thrives in silence and fades when ordinary people refuse to look away. Justice survives only if ordinary people stand together.